But but in one of those, they like had like a bit in there, like a cold open or something about of them sinking, or maybe it was somebody completely different. But they did like a clap, I think, which seems weird to me.
Sounds terrible.
I know, but they were like ready, and they clapped. But I was like, wouldn't that be hard because there would be a delay? Like, I don't know. Like the video, I don't know. All right, let's just do it our way.
1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4. I forgot it went to 4.
Nick. Okay.
Adventure Guys. Adventure Guys. Now it's time for Adventure Guys.
Adventure Guys. We're back. We're getting back in the groove after a couple weeks off. Episode 2 in normal order. Here we go.
I'm Eric the Human.
And I am Nick the Human. This is Adventure Guys, a podcast for humans and dogs.
Yep, about Adventure Time.
Yep.
I feel like maybe that doesn't translate immediately. It seems obvious to us, but when you search for podcasts on Adventure Time, I don't think we're in anyone's search results.
No, and if I were to tell somebody I have a podcast called Adventure Guys, they would probably be like, "What adventures are you going on? Are you climbing? Are you climbing mountains? Are you conquering
Hey, shout
something?"
out to Poke. I'm pretty sure they believe that we are a gym and not a television podcast.
Yeah, I don't know if they there's some sort of confusion about that, but it's okay. I'm still going there weekly. I just actually made, when I was in Florida for Thanksgiving, I made poke inspired by them. Like I it was great. God, poke. What's up, dude? How are you? How was your Thanksgiving?
Pretty low key. It was just my mom, my dad, and myself. And, my mom cooked and she's really good at that, but there wasn't really an easy way to adjust portion size just down to 3 people. So
Sure.
I've been enjoying leftovers for the past 3 days. It's been awesome.
Oh, a staple of American culture. The Thanksgiving leftover. Yeah, hell yeah. We had some of that. I had a great Trader Joe's tofurkey in there. They make my favorite, like, non-meat guy. But it's good to be back in Austin, Texas. It's good to watch. I hadn't watched Adventure Time in a while. We've been binging Steven Universe in my household right now. Just finished the 2nd season. So, So when I put this back on today, I had to like recalibrate like my world view because I was just so in Steven Universe, and there end of season 2 there was so much lore. So I was like, oh, I gotta get back into here. And this episode that we're going to talk about today, mired in lore, like it's drenched.
Yeah. It was really confusing. I've been watching a lot of other cartoons too. So I guess since we last talked, I went through the whole OKKO series, and then I watched Mao Mao, Heroes of Pure Heart, a newer show on Cartoon Network.
Cool.
They have season 1 up on HBO Max. It was pretty good. And then I just watched for the first time Hilda on Netflix.
I haven't seen that.
It came out like 2 years ago. There's 1 season up, and season 2 is coming out in a couple weeks.
Okay, well,
and man, it is awesome.
All right. Okay, so of the 3, that would be your recommendation to start.
OKKO is an awesome show.
Yeah,
I really like that one. It's just very different. Hilda is some of the most like beautiful animation I've seen.
Cool.
Like the art style is actually somewhat similar to OKKO in that you, on both those shows, you see like pencil outlines. It's sort of inked in a different way where it's like it definitely feels drawn, and yet on Hilda the animation is so fluid. It's like really beautiful, and the color schemes, like the palettes are sort of different from other cartoons. And it's it's a fun story. They're 22-minute episodes, and they go in some different places, and they have a little bit more time to like breathe and explore directions that are less formulaic.
That's great. I love that. I mean, that's what I'm looking for in any art. We've talked about this. You got to do something new with it. You got to get your new twist on it. When we were in Florida, it was me and my brother Sean. We was explaining to our parents that we've like been getting back into cartoons. Eric, you're a big part of that. This podcast is, and we were explaining it to them. And as we were kind of trying to explain to it and use like, references that they would understand, it really did make me feel like, oh yeah, like, Adventure Time and Steven Universe are contributing something new and they're pushing the medium forward. And it was cool. Like, it's funny. Sometimes when you have to explain something to somebody else, it makes you really take stock of it. And it only like reinforced why I like these shows and why Adventure Time really is so special. And kind of unprecedented in a lot of ways. Yeah,
I definitely am like so focused on animation and cartoons and stuff right now. Like, I haven't watched a live action show in weeks, it seems.
Have you watched Auntie Donna's Big Ol' House of Fun?
No.
You should really, really watch that.
Okay.
Can you hear my roommate screaming in the background?
Yeah.
He is playing Call of Duty or something. I don't know what he's doing, but I gotta tell you, I know you play video games. Hearing him play, it doesn't sound fun. It's just like tons of yelling and fuck this game. This is bullshit. And he's playing lots of teenagers, and I don't know, that sounds frustrating and not fun to me.
Yeah, I never got into any of the first-person shooter stuff. You know what game I'm playing right now?
What?
Is Paper Mario for N64.
Okay, that's a whole different kind of a thing. I understand that a bit more than I understand this. I'm always like, hey man, are you having fun doing that? Like, you've been playing for 3 hours and you've just been screaming. He's like, it's tough, but it's rewarding. Auntie Donna's Big Ol' House of Fun. Great sketch show. It's like Tim and Eric meets Wet Hot American Summer. Stella, aka my shit, and then
yeah, that's definitely your shit.
Yeah.
I've always felt like a little bit of like a degree of separation from that style. Like I can't quite appreciate it the way you do. I don't think
this one's not as like, it's a little more down to earth. It's a little more, maybe more Lonely Island in there. And then also the most amazing show I've been watching. Have you seen a How To with John Wilson? Have you heard of this show?
No.
It's so incredible. It's produced by Nathan Fielder, who did Nathan For You, which is one of the best shows maybe of the last decade.
I hear that's good, but I haven't watched it.
It is so incredible and genius and unique. You have to watch that show.
I think there's something of a crossover between Nathan For You fandom and Jeff Rosenstock fandom.
Oh,
I don't
really?
understand it, but I see that show pop up a lot in the Jeff Rosenstock shitposting group.
Wow, that would make sense. I'm not in the group, so I can't attest to the references, but I like both those things. So you might too. Watch Nathan For You, but John Wilson might even hit you harder. So what it is it's a guy, and it's basically just made up of. It's a guy narrating a show, like just like talking, and everything you see on screen is things that he has filmed, mostly in New York City. So he's telling you a story and telling you about what he's doing, and you're seeing it from his point of view, and he is able to edit in clips of things that he's seen to illustrate his point in like a more dramatic fashion. And it's really crazy. I can't even explain it in a better way. It's oddly moving and unique and emotional. He has a whole episode on the history of scaffolding, and it made me miss New York more than anything else has. Scaffolding, yes.
I hear that. Okay, this is my take on scaffolding.
Yeah, okay.
From what I understand is it is cheaper to put up scaffolding on sidewalks than it is to maintain and repair the outside of buildings.
Well, so
they just like line sidewalks with that so that people don't get hit with the falling debris.
Yeah, so they John Wilson gets into this. And yeah, someone in New York City, like a piece of debris fell and killed somebody in the 70s. So they sued, and then there was some sort of new law that was created that you have to do some sort of mandatory checks on the outside of your buildings every 5 years or so to like make sure that that won't happen again. So there's the scaffolding up everywhere, and yeah, people don't seem to not just keep scaffolding up permanently. And instead, because of that law, it's turned into like a multi-billion-dollar industry. It's yeah, you got to watch this show, dude. I'm telling you, it's really cool.
That's good. I have a bit of background knowledge in the subject, so
yeah, you're gonna enjoy it. It's fun. I say it's time for Adventure Time. I think it's time we need to discuss.
Okay.
Episode discussion.
Yeah, it's funny, Eric, that I was thinking about that the other day, that it's like built into the podcast is like, prior to having this podcast, I might just call you every like couple weeks or something, and we would just bullshit. And now instead of that phone call, we're like that, like hour and a half, 2 hour conversation is just cut up into little pieces and put into the podcast around Adventure Time shit.
Yeah.
I was like, that's what this is. But this is a good Adventure Time episode. So it's season 9, episode 3. What was the title again?
Bespoken 4?
Yes, Bespoken 4. It's in the middle of this The Elements miniseries that starts season 9, right?
Yeah, it's
or episode 2, season 9.
I thought I was going to be like super confused by jumping into the middle of an 8-parter, but I was only just like a little bit confused because it was mostly an Ice King episode.
Yeah, Ice King episode, and I was, dude, same. I was watching. I was like, hey, this will actually be a good discussion on the podcast because like it works as a standalone episode, I think, and it also, for being a part of an 8-parter, it feels complete. Like, you know what I mean? Like it has the beginning. Ice King goes on a journey, and then it ends pretty nicely. Like, it was cool, and I had like a lot of respect for that. I didn't expect it.
I gotta say, the whole arc with Betty.
Yeah.
The times that I've watched through the show, it seems to be like a pretty complicated storyline, and I'm like, oh, that connects like that. That connects like that. But outside of like those consecutive watch throughs, I could never recall exactly what happens with her. I could definitely not explain her storyline. I always seem to forget and get confused.
Well, I think the whole like intertwining with the Magic Man stuff, like Magic Man and Betty, like that really throws me for a loop, because then like you're watching this episode and there's like lots of Magic Man-y things happening because she's like assumed his role kind of at this point, right? So it's kind of like, wait, what?
Yeah, where those two arcs intersect, I cannot for the life of me remember the details about how that went down.
Yeah.
But yeah, Betty and Magic Man and some of the stuff that goes on Mars. It when I watch through the show in order, it makes a lot of sense and it's really cool. I remember that feeling.
Yeah.
But I cannot remember any of the actual plot elements. Well, so I was a little bit confused with her whole thing.
Well, what was lucky about it is that that's kind of all just kind of window dressing for the episode. None of it's integral to what's going on. Like what really matters is Simon and Betty and like and Ice King and all that. And so, you know, the episode starts and it's great too, because like immediately Finn and Jake are kind of recapping where we're at, and they're looking down at U, and it's split into 4 distinct sections of the 4 elements, right? Which is, what is it again? Candy, slime. What are the other 2?
Fire and ice.
Fire and ice. Oh, duh. The two real elements that are in. And
I love so much that the 4 elements are those, that they include candy and slime.
Yeah.
Like it's not earth and wind. It's candy and slime.
Yeah, that's great. And but they're down there, and then they're trying to figure out what happened. And Ice King, who they saw at the end of the previous episode, is like, "I'll tell you all about it." And basically, what this episode comes to is, it's a very simple explanation. Like the Ice King barely knows any sort of information about what happened. All he knows really is that Patience used those the people who represent the 4 elements in the show. And channeled them somehow and created this, right? That's all the Ice King really needs to say. But instead, what we get is this like weird story from him of rambling, where he doesn't understand really even the story he's telling. Like, and it's like, it's classic Ice King shit.
Right. Yeah. So even he doesn't remember who Betty is.
No, I have lots. I have some questions about that. But before they started, you get some good like funny Ice King gags where he says, "Come over." They're on a cloud overlooking all this. Like that's the only place that's safe in the land of U right now. So he goes, "Come to my living room," and he kicks over a pizza box and a sock, which is funny. And then he's got the sky hooks, which is great. And I do remember in episode 1, he has like so much skyhook stuff. Like it's like a really funny bit. And they kind of wrap that up in the beginning of episode 2. Do you remember the skyhooks
of this season?
Isn't that when the skyhooks isn't that in episode 2 of? I watched this not so long ago.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember the significance of the skyhooks exactly.
It's like a bunch of like wire hangers that he has like connected together by bending them, and he like acts like it's this like secret power that he has. He calls them his skyhooks, and he like picks things off the ground with them, which is funny because Ice King has so many powers. Anyway, whatever. Let's not get hung up on that. And he starts to tell the story, and it's clear that Patience is up to no good. He's giving us fragments of dialogue, and Patience. You know, I have a question about Patience because he kind of is into Patience. He wants them to be together, and then he kind of settles into them just being platonic roommates. Is that kind of where the relationship is at this point, Eric?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Context is out the window on this episode for me.
I know, and Ice King really makes context hard because all his reasoning and everything that he's about is really confusing. But you know, I will say about Patience is that she's pretty cool, man. I know that she's a villain, but just like she's voiced by Lauren Lapkus, who is it's impossible for her not to be cool. Yeah, not to be cool. I've enjoyed every single thing she's ever done. Yeah, she's cool and likable, and like she's badass. And I'm like, oh man, I'm into Patience, I think. but I'm like, oh, no, come on, she's a villain. So, but she's out of there, and then Betty comes, and she again, by making this an enjoyable standalone, she gives us out of nowhere a little bit of a wrap up. She's like, I have tried everything. I've tried all these things, and you can't remember who I am or who you are. So I'm going to be more direct. And Ice King, and he asks her out on a date, and Ice King gets excited, but Ice King
he can't remember who she is. And no. Like I love the bone that they throw to the audience by like, you know, we don't remember who she is. Probably, maybe I didn't, exactly remember her context. And Ice King does that thing. Is like, oh, so you're still working at that place? like uses these tactics to like try and sneakily find out who he's talking to when he can't remember that, which is a situation that I find myself in all the time.
Oh,
like I feel so bad like when we're on tour.
Yeah, tour must be brutal.
Yeah, like I can't remember everyone's name in every state that we play in all over the country, and sometimes people have conversations with me. I'm just like, oh my gosh,
before the show started, we were talking about tour. And I remember like some of those nights like having really fun times with people. I can remember their face, and I can remember having a goddamn blast, and I can't wait to see them again. But I can't tell you their names right now. So I can, my little bit of experience I can identify with. But the next part, this is really where I want to get to, where Ice King is confusing, because he calls up his buddy and starts talking about how he has a date. And he's excited about the date. But he doesn't know that it was Betty. And then when he asks who the lady was, he says he's not sure she might even be some sort of exotic bird. Like, he doesn't even know if he's going on a date with a true lady or a bird. I'm like, what is the Ice King? He's excited that he's been invited to the date. Like, the concept of him being invited on a date is what's really intriguing him, right? I don't know.
Yeah, it's ridiculous because I mean, he's had a little bit of an arc by now over the course of 9 seasons, but when we first were introduced to this character, he was like creepy, trying to like get dates with every princess in the kingdom, and now someone asks him out on a date, and he doesn't know what to do with it.
I know, that actually is pretty funny. I love that. But he's talking to his friend. Now, how have we met? This friend's in the Candy Kingdom. What's this guy's deal? He's voiced by Master Shake from Aqua Teen Hunger Force. This
Yeah,
much.
life-giving Magus.
So what's his deal? I don't remember this guy.
Remember we did the episode on Thanks for the Crab Apples, Giuseppe?
Yeah. He's on that trip.
Yeah. He's one of the wizards.
Oh, yeah.
And everything that he touches, he's got like the Midas touch, but instead of turning things to gold, he turns things into sentience.
Oh, right. Oh, okay. That makes sense. Oh, yeah. So then they're buds. Okay. I got it. But then what's really funny is like now you get a sequence I didn't know I needed in my life, which is an Ice King gets ready for a date sequence. And they're like talking about, like, you got to have a charcoal gray suit for wizards. Everyone knows that. And they start trying them on. And at one point in the middle of the story, they cut out. And I don't know, I didn't see this in the first time through, but the second time through, Finn quietly goes to Jake, "What is going on?"
Yeah.
And then he goes back and goes, "Anyway, I got my suit all figured out." And like he actually looks good because as we've learned, underneath Ice King's huge beard and this, the thing that he usually wears, like the robe, he's actually like very skinny, like almost concerningly skinny.
Right.
So he fits into a suit. Wow. Like I was impressed with how he was looking.
Yeah. Was this the reveal of his physique, or was that like shown earlier in the show? I don't remember.
I think there's an episode earlier in the show where that happens. There's like an episode at some point where he becomes like early in the show where he's like really desirable and all the
he shaves his beard.
Yes, that's what it is. He shaves his beard and then all the princesses are like, "Holy shit, this guy's fucking hot," and they're all over him, and he's like a big huge dick about it. And then they find his beard. Yeah, that one. So I think that's where it's revealed. But then he's ready to go. He's ready to go on the date. He shows up, and Betty trying her goddamn best to make this guy remember. Which I guess I should say, he's confusing and his logic is fucked. But I feel like by this point in the series, we know that he almost has, like Mara talked about it on one of our first episodes, like the crown causes confusion and almost has sort of like Alzheimer's effects on his brain. Like it's kind of sad,
Yeah, I feel like the scene of him and Betty in the restaurant could have been like depressingly sad.
Yeah.
Like it could have been super heavy, and like they added some more levity to it by having him like talk to Gunther on his cell phone.
and here's our friend, for anyone who's not, this is just a little bit of lore, is that, so as we've covered, there's the Ice King. Before he was the Ice King, he was a normal guy named Simon, man of science, incredibly smart, good morals. He had to put on the crown to defend Marceline. He loses his way. He had lost Betty at some point. But now Betty's back through all this time machine bullshit. And she's like, "Oh my God, I can be together finally with Simon, the love of my life." But he's Ice King and he's so far gone. So she's trying to make him remember, like, "Dude, wake up out of this trance. Like, it is me, the love of your life. Like, gah." And so she takes them on a date to the restaurant they always went to when they were in school together, and is like hoping that this will jog his memory because it's like really special memory. Obviously, like for anybody, it would be this restaurant where the waiter or the owner knows their names. They come there like extremely regularly, and it's heartbreaking for Betty because he does not remember it at all. And he sits down and he's like, "I'll pay for appetizers, but if you want an entree, we're going splitsies or whatever." And then some more dumb Ice King shit where he's kind of done with the date and he pretends to get a phone call and he picks up his hamburger bun and starts speaking into it. And then he takes it off and eats the hamburger bun. Not a very well thought out alibi on that one. Betty freaks out. They go back to her Magic Man house and she talks to a tiny manicore, which what the hell was that thing? I don't know what he was, but he was
tiny manticore, man.
But he was really wise. Like he had the best advice that anyone could have given Betty. He says to her, you're loving a man and you're asking him to be someone who no longer exists. You have also undergone a lot of changes. Maybe you need to accept Simon for who he is now and not for who you remember. To which Betty says, "That's true." She says that I wrote this down. we're two shadows, two ghosts caught in limbo. To which this tiny man, of course, says, "Don't say it like that. It's sad when you say it like that. Say it a different way." But now she's like, "All right, the guy I want is gone, but he's in there somewhere. I'm gonna love him the way he is." And she goes up, right? And she's like, "You still like bird watching?" Remember, he thought she was a bird. He was watching Gunter. It was a stupid thing. She creates some, with her magic man powers, some birds. They're running around like little kids. Patience comes back and like immediately makes Betty disappear into her lair. And Ice King is like, "Where did the weird lady go?"
Yeah.
And he doesn't even remember her name. It sucks. But then anyway, he's just hanging out, right? And then he discovers Patience doing a weird elemental chant, and like they see him, they all try to shoot him with light out of their eyes and mouth, and he flies away with Gunter to the cloud.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess like Patience is like channeling the elemental magic through Betty's magic man powers. I don't know.
I don't know either.
But
I'm definitely trying to avoid these play-by-plays, but this is just steeped in so much because we're in this miniseries that here we are. But I think it's really cool, to do these miniseries. It starts with an altered theme song. Like, but by the time a show's been going on this long, right? It's kind of like a trope in TV that you got to do some new shit to keep people interested. That's you gotta have Fonzie on water skis jumping over a shark. That's where Happy Days went with it. So it's fun that like in Adventure Time, this is their version of keeping things interesting. Like by season 9, it's like, oh yeah, hell yeah.
I did appreciate that it was Princess Bubblegum singing the theme song on this opening. I totally forgot that's what happened. It caught me by surprise. And in a way, this elemental arc winds up being like a source of character development for Princess Bubblegum. I think this is like where she finally learns to use her powers.
Yeah.
Like, the real way.
I mean, everyone really goes through some huge I mean, this whole thing too with Betty being reintroduced, like just follows right back into all the way till the end of the show. All the different elements, like it all, like this is sort of like where you start building right towards the end of the show, I would say.
Yeah. They had just basically gotten back from the side quest that Finn did to discover his origins.
Yeah.
And like it was pretty explicitly like he is away from the land of Ooh. Like this is a side quest that he's on. Now we're back to the main story and all this shit is going down. And it seems like, from the beginning of season 9 through to the end of the show, just like a straight line.
Yeah.
To the culmination of the series.
Yeah. Which is super great. And I mean, that's another thing that makes this show so awesome is that there is an end. It's not like Happy Days where it's episodic or SpongeBob. They can just go like they are driving towards something. There's an end. There are characters developing. That's why this show rules. I
do like the way that they ended the series though. After 10 seasons, they found a way to frame it where it ties off a lot of arcs, but it also makes you realize like, this isn't necessarily about any arc or about any character in particular. It leaves it open-ended enough where now that they're doing these HBO Max specials that take place, in other parts of the timeline, it's like, I think that there are a lot of shows out there where the fan base would be super angry about like someone trying to like add on to the existing canon. Like, I mean, how mixed everything with Star Wars was, for example.
Right.
Like you have 2 extra trilogies that were tacked on to the original timeline, the original canon, and people were so mad about all that. And yet with Adventure Time, it seems that the original series did such a good job of framing everything like contextually, where like it's supposed to be open-ended.
Yeah.
That now we can have other stuff in the universe and they're still maintaining the same level of quality and same positive fan reception. Did you watch Obsidian yet?
No, I didn't watch it yet.
It's awesome.
I can't.
So great.
I'm excited. But no, you're right. And you think about that. I mean, look, think about what you're saying is that in one of the things you loved about the finale is the ambiguity. Think about what people hated about other shows. The ending, the ambiguity. Like, you're like, different things didn't matter. It's like, yeah, and Lost people were still like, well, what about the goddamn polar bear? Remember that?
Yeah.
It's like,
dude, that made me so angry. I need to know about the polar bear.
right. Everyone's like, I need to know about these things. And in Adventure Time, that's not there. Like, you're right. That was a pretty masterful stroke. And I wonder at some point that must have been sort of like a thought within the writers' minds. Like, hey, we need to like think about where we're going and set this up in a way that'll be, gratifying for people.
I think that, I've said this before, that I think Adventure Time is the greatest cartoon of all time, because I think it has a legacy that will endure. And part of that legacy, I think, is the flexibility to continue creating content in that universe without marring its original run.
Which is extremely hard to do. So bravo to you guys. Hey, Eric, I have a question for you. Did you see it? Did you see it? Eric, did you see the snail?
No. Nick, did you see the snail?
Yes.
Really?
Yes, I really saw the snail. I saw him.
Well, shit. Play that Congratulations, Nick theme song.
Oh!
Congratulations are in order, my friend. Nick, you saw the snail. You're the greatest snail detective that I've ever known. You're the greatest snail detective of the episode. Congratulations to you, my friend. Yeah, Nick, you saw the snail.
I guess I know what I'm doing tomorrow.
Dude, what a moment in history. I saw the snail the first time, episode 17. Mark it down in your book, scorekeeper. I saw the snail, and Eric didn't.
God damn.
Do you want to know where it was?
Yeah, tell me.
So when they're trying on suits, when they're going to go into the suit shop, they do like a big wide shot for less than a second.
Oh, dude, you know what I noticed in that shot was there was like a lot of little like tchotchkes and trinkets all wearing suits, and I saw a little owl wearing a suit. I was like, oh, that's funny.
Oh,
that's cute.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was the first time through. I remember being like, whoa, that seems like a place they put the stamp. I was like, it was so fast, and I thought I saw it. I didn't. And the second time through, I saw it. Then I went back. I rewinded, and I was like, I did see it, but it was really quick, and he was in the top left portion of the screen, and it was fast. It was a tough one. Thanks for writing that song. I finally got to hear it after hearing mine like at least 3 times, which I'm still happy with that one.
Yeah. It's some of my best work. The Congratulations, Nick song.
I'm excited. All right, should we do a little miscellanea mania?
There's things you may not know. Those Eric and Nick will show you all the trivia in miscellanea mania.
All right, so I'll tell you something I learned.
Okay.
So Betty is usually voiced by Lena Dunham.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Well, she was until this episode.
And that is that's the heart of the mania right there.
Yeah, it's the only thing I had.
Felicia Day takes over.
Yeah. This was, when did this episode air? 2017 or something like that?
I can tell you, April 24th, 2017.
Was this around the time? I think this was exactly around the time that people were starting to get mad at Lena Dunham. Do you think that had anything to do with the recasting?
I'm gonna look at Lena Dunham's wiki. God damn, did the world turn on Lena Dunham. She had it. It was all in the palm of her hands. She was the voice of her generation, as she ironically said on Girls. And then, oh, dude, get that. On her Wikipedia page, they have broken, you know, that sometimes they'll break it in their career or their biography into chunks. Like it'll be like, this one says 2000, she's in college. 2010 to 2011, breakthrough, Tiny Furniture. Then it's 2012 to 2017, mainstream success with Girls and First Book. Then 2018 to present is a whole other thing, which is like second book, camping,
strikes.
other work. Yeah. And because it was the book, I think, that people, when they started turning on her, she got paid some obscene amount of money to write her book. In it, she said some weird shit about when she was a kid and her sister. I don't remember all of it. We don't need to go that deep in, but hey, it does coincide. I'm trying to see when that book came out, but the season of Girls, the 6th and final season, this probably has more to do with it, Eric. The final season of Girls concluded on April 16th, 2017. This episode comes out a week later. I bet she was just finishing Girls and was like, I can't take a day or two to go do Adventure Time. Like, I need to finish the finale of like my magnum opus.
I do remember, this was now, almost 4 years ago. I remember specifically listening to her episode of WTF with Marin.
Yeah.
Around that time, early 2017.
Uh-huh.
And she was talking about how intense season 6 of Girls was, like how they kind of, were approaching the end of the story, and they were like, well, this is the last season, so let's like go in a lot of crazy artistic directions. And it was that, like, she was, I guess, directing more. I don't know what her deal was, but yeah, I do remember her talking about it being like a huge challenge, a lot, big workload and that kind of thing.
Look at this.
Yeah, probably that's it.
And look at this too. She famously dated Jack Antonoff, and they broke up in December of 2017. God damn, what a hard year that must have been for Lena Dunham.
Right. I remember, her character on that show being unlikable.
Yeah.
And I think it was kind of seen as a decision like, oh, wow, that's like pretty brave to cast yourself in such an unlikable role. And then she sort of started becoming her character off screen also. And then people started not liking her as a person.
I think there's a lot of internalized misogyny too that went into hating her, because one of the things that made the show interesting, right, is like she was sex positive, and like she's not rail thin, traditionally, super hot TV girl, and yet she's naked on screen fucking Adam Driver and Donald Glover or whatever, and like it's like a whole thing, and which is cool, right? Like that's what was different and unique about it at the time. But there were definitely people out there who were like, what gives her the right to be naked on TV? Like, you know what I mean? Like there was definitely some, I heard dudes calling her very misogynistic things during that time.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And I think a lot of that was building and jealousy. I don't know.
I kind of like the show. I did watch the whole thing, like sort of recently, I guess. So when I had decided to move to New York for sure, there were like maybe 8 or 9 months in between like that decision and actually moving.
Yeah.
And I watched every New York television show I could.
Wow. Okay. So what did you watch? Girls is on there.
I watched Girls. I watched Crashing.
Oh, I love that.
Love that. Pete Holmes. I watched Sex and the City.
You're getting well-rounded.
Yeah. I watched Broad City, which may be my favorite New York TV show.
That felt real. That one was great.
Yeah. I watched Aziz Ansari's show, Master of None, which, after his whole thing, lands a little bit differently.
Yeah.
does. It's
I haven't.
kinda...
I luckily watched all that previously, and he hung out in a lot of haunts that I frequented. I would have to rewatch it now. I mean, let's not get into that. Let's not open that can of words. What else did you watch?
I just listed a lot of New York shows.
You did.
What?
You know what other one I watched? I just actually over Thanksgiving I watched a couple episodes, which I realized influenced my view of New York City. Was Bored to Death. Did you ever watch this show?
No.
I watched it in college. It stars Jason Schwartzman, Ted Danson, and Zach Galifianakis.
Oh wow, what a lineup!
What a lineup! The first time I realized how funny Ted Danson was. Kind of flew under the radar, but the thing of the show is that Jason Schwartzman, he's like 30, he's trying to write his second book. His girlfriend breaks up with him. He loves all these old like private detective novels and whatever. So he decides like, I'll just go on Craigslist and say I'm a private detective and like see what happens. And he goes out and he has these like fun, weird New York adventures. And his best friend is Zach Galifianakis, who's like a struggling comic book artist. And Ted Danson is this like, multi-divorced magazine editor that's like 40 years older than him. And it's great, but it takes place a lot in like Brooklyn, probably like Park Slope and stuff. And I think that like subconscious, I didn't realize that influenced my like view of New York, but like, yeah, that I guess probably 30 Rock and How I Met Your Mother is a lot. I mean, New York's fucking everywhere.
Oh yeah. How I Met Your Mother was on my list of New York shows that I'd watched.
Hey,
we talked at length about that one already.
If you got favorite New York shows, email us at didyousee@gmail.com. I would love to hear what your favorite New York show is. I'll tell you what. Oh, here's another one for me. Have you watched High Maintenance?
No.
Watch it. That will make that it like really hits a specific beautiful part of New York. It's all centered around a weed dealer who goes like house to house dealing weed, and each episode is about a different person and they end up intertwining with the guy, the weed dealer at some point, but it's just different vignettes of different people in New York City, all different socioeconomic, cultural, racial backgrounds, different neighborhoods. It's great. It's sort of like in Master and None, where they do that one episode where they follow the different people.
Oh yeah.
It's sort of like imagine if that was just a whole show and we're getting quick 15-minute snapshots of people's life in New York. And it's great. That in Broad City, like, or the shows that probably like felt like my time living in New York, which which should return to its scheduled programming in 2022. Who the fuck knows? But
oh yeah, man, I'm so annoyed that I moved halfway across the country to sit in a basement.
I know, dude.
Moved to the greatest city in the world to sit in a basement.
Yeah.
Joe Biden's talking about canceling student debt.
Yeah.
I'm wondering what that means. But CUNY schools are cheap as shit anyway. I might try and just like, I don't know, take a class in something like at a CUNY school.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Whoa. So you're talking, okay. We don't know the specifics of this forgiving, but if he were to announce, I'm going to be forgiving all college debt on X date, could we just sneak in college courses and before that deadline and get them in for free? Is that what you're proposing right now?
I'm saying like, if they're going to cancel student debt, there has to be some sort of broader educational reform plan.
Right.
Like, I know New York State is generally ahead of the curve on that, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the situation is within the last like few years, they've made it if you live and work in New York State for at least 5 years after graduating from a state school, then your education is free.
Oh, okay.
I don't know all the requirements that are, part of that plan. But
what would you take? What are you thinking about?
I don't know, anything.
Did you get your master's?
No, I did not finish my master's degree. I did all the coursework. I didn't do my thesis.
Could you just sign up and do your thesis? and then get your master's?
Probably not.
Okay.
I don't think like community colleges typically give master's degrees out anyway.
Are you interested in getting your master's, or are you just
not in the field that I started it in?
Okay.
Not in historical musicology, which, and I know you checked out that video, that Adam Neely video about how racist music theory actually is.
Yes.
It was started by one of the music theory faculty at the University of North Texas.
Oh.
That whole controversy about, Eurocentric, white, Germanic tradition of music. He was the guy that started the whole current controversy about it. So no, I'm not currently interested in finishing a historical Eurocentric musicological study from the University of North Texas.
Dude, you and I, we're two curious guys. I've had a conversation with a few people I've talked about. I like working at Atlantic Records. I've got a great job, but I definitely, sometimes you're like, I wish I didn't have it so I could do more time. And there's definitely been people in my life who have asked me, what would you do if you didn't have a job? We're just going to watch TV. And I'd be like, no, I would go take some college classes. I want to learn about it. I want to write a movie. I'm going to make albums. I'm going to learn how to score movies. I'm going to go live my dreams. I would love to take, if I had time and it was free, take more college classes. That would be awesome. I didn't really get to take many art, humanities, English, film, any of those music sort of courses at Delaware.
Yeah, I didn't take a lot of English stuff in college. I didn't take anything creative or narrative based. I didn't take any literature studies or anything like that. And I would love to do that kind of thing now. I think about how in high school, right? You read all these books in English classes, and we read a lot of good books, and I just didn't care because I was a 16-year-old asshole who was more interested in playing guitar.
Yeah. It'd be cool to revisit that stuff. Another person in my life has heard me say rants of this nature and been like, well, why don't you just join a book club? And I was like, oh yeah, I guess I could do that.
I would like to learn more of the mechanics of constructing narratives
and stories and stuff. Yeah.
I know that I don't have time to write huge essays on comparative literature right now, and I probably never will.
Yeah.
But I would love to learn structural elements of how they put together films and that kind of thing, just so I would be able to do my own analyses more, in a more educated manner.
Yeah. Well, dude, maybe when we're in our late 60s and we've hit that sweet 65-year-old retirement that was all promised to us, and I'm certain we are going to be receiving, well, then we'll just go take some college classes with our time, and we'll keep, that'll be the new episodes of Adventure Guys. Oh boy. Well, until then, we got to watch more Adventure Time. What's the next episode that we're going to watch?
Ooh, let's find out.
What are we gonna watch next week? What are we gonna watch? It's the episode generator.
All right, I didn't have my thing pulled up yet, so hold on.
All right.
Let's see, episode 76, which is
season 2, right?
No. Season 3.
Okay. Oh, right. It's season 5 that gets super long. Okay, season 3.
Oh,
What is it?
Ghost Princess?
You don't want to do it? You're going to veto?
We could save that for next Halloween.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Thinking a year and ahead.
Dude, you got foresight. Hey, if we're going to be doing this for another 35 years or whatever the fuck I just said, we got to think ahead.
Yeah.
All right.
We did do a spooky episode fairly recently, so we don't need to do another spooky episode.
No. Spin it again. Spin it again.
What are we gonna watch next week? What are we gonna watch? It's the episode generator.
Episode 28,
Whoa.
which is season 2, episode 2, The Eyes.
Wow. Going way back on this one. That's fun. I mean, didn't we start with season 2, episode 1, right?
Yeah.
This is a sequel of sorts. I mean,
Don't think it is.
no, I don't think it is either.
I don't really remember what The Eyes is. Is that?
Yeah. Oh, Sean talked to me about this one and said that it was funny. There's a bunch of big eyes, and Finn and Jake are like, what the fuck are those eyes? I'm excited. Let's watch it.
A bunch of eyes, and Finn and Jake say, "What the fuck are those eyes?" That's the synopsis for the episode we'll watch next week. Season 2, episode 2, The Eyes.
All right. Hey, everyone. Thanks for listening.
Oh, it's the one with the... Okay, I fucking hate this episode. Yeah, good. We'll do a good episode next week.
Okay, good. Hey, like and subscribe. Tell one friend. See you on Instagram. Bye.
Peace out, y'all. For all dark magic purposes, I need a 666 credit score.